that's an area that, gosh, can I put together in a nutshell what is the lens and who is OchsLabs? Well, yeah, let me see what I can do. OchsLabs. Let's start a little earlier. The lens came out of Dr. Len Oaks, who's a psychologist, had been using biofeedback since the 1960s, and a couple of items that he noticed about that was that it was helpful, but it didn't work very quickly. And you couldn't use it with everybody. You couldn't use it with someone who couldn't concentrate or sit and pay attention. You couldn't use it on babies. You couldn't use it on, people that couldn't sit still and whatnot. And so he started kind of looking around for options. What are some other things that we could do that might, speed this up a little bit and be able to help a wider range of symptoms, in more people and in a greater portion of the population. And he tried, and right around 1989, 1990, fixed frequency. He started using fixed frequency and was noticing, people were responding to that. But then again, he would run into some people that wouldn't. And so he kind of shelved that and continued kind of doing what he was doing in traditional biofeedback. And then he came up with this idea of, rather than training the brain to do something, and telling the brain by sitting in front of a computer and playing a game, telling the brain what to do and training it by operant conditioning, actually, what would happen instead if we disentrained the brain? If we interrupted those maladaptive patterns that the brain has acquired over whatever length of the lifetime, it was 6 months, 6 months of age, or, was somebody 88 years old. We're here, we're on the planet, and things happen. We get bumps on the head. We have anoxic events during surgery. We have, dental surgery after which we never felt the same. I mean, it could be anything. Little car accidents. I was hit with a baseball when I was up at bat. Things like this. Things happen all the time. And what he was interested in is, instead of taking a lot of time to train the brain to do something, let's see if we can come up with a way to interrupt the maladaptive patterns, because the brain will adapt these maladaptive patterns over time. And we don't really know why. We can't really speak to those, but what it seems that we see kind of more clinically as far as symptoms is that the brain seems to do a really good job in the moment and doing the best it can to keep an organism alive. Let's say they're in a car accident, and we all know that there can be swelling involved and other things happen, and swelling can be pretty dangerous if it's closed head. There's, our brain is in a cranium that's solid, that doesn't allow room for inflammation, which we know is real common in times of acute traumatic events. And whether or not the brain starts to lay down kind of inhibitive neurotransmitters, GABA, we're not really sure, but it seems like the brain in the moment has a lot of options at its disposal to go ahead and manage an acute situation. But it's almost as though when the acute situation has passed and it's no longer dangerous, it's almost as though the brain doesn't know it can pick up, and clean up after itself. Almost as though the brain hasn't even been on the planet long enough for the brain to evolve a way to refresh its neurochemistry, so to say. So what we're interested in doing is taking a look at, instead of taking a dysfunctional brain pattern and training a functional brain pattern over it, of just kind of interrupting these patterns that the brain has developed. Okay? And we found that it works pretty darn well. It's actually quite exciting. I came to OchsLabs in 2006 and doing technical support. My background is in science and engineering. And I would, there's times when, software kind of goes clunk, so I'll log into someone's computer. Back, in 2006 I was doing this over the years, and I would be talking with a practitioner, let's say in Australia or Cincinnati, wherever they might be, and I'm working on the computer and fixing the software, and they'll say, what, let me tell you about this patient. And I would hear the story of, this person that kind of got their life back. And I heard that enough times over a short period of time, I thought, I need to go and learn how to do this. So I actually went back to school and got a healthcare degree that allowed me to do the lens and start seeing patients, because I was really excited about it. And I have just been running and thrilled ever since. It's really very nice to be able to have a tool that can help so many people. And I can't tell you how many times I'll hear people say, you know, I've gotten my life back, or thank you, you know, we've got our daughter back again. And again, it's not, I don't see it as me as a practitioner or us as practitioners, but it's the brain reorganizing itself. It just seems like the brain needs an opportunity to reorganize itself. And some of the patterns that it's acquired, whether it's gotten in kind of a looping mechanism and it can't quite find its way out, but it seems as though what we see is that if you can give the brain an opportunity to reorganize, it tends to always reorganize to a higher level of functioning. You know, we don't see it organized to a lower level of functioning. And we find that we can use it to treat people who can't otherwise be treated by traditional biofeedback and neurofeedback. You know, we can treat very, very young children. I think they've been treated as young as 6 months old. We can use it to help people, you know, autism spectrum. We can use it, you know, people who have been debilitated by stroke, and people that have attention problems, paying attention and being still. And we can even use it with animals. There's quite a few people out there that use it to treat racehorses and cats and dogs, and you know, they'll be anxious too, and so it's something that can be very helpful. So that's kind of a tangent, but you know, who are we? Len Ochs came up with the lens right around 1990, and it's been kind of in various forms over the years, and now we're at a piece of software that we call LensWare 3, and we couldn't be happier with it. It's kind of been a dream of ours coming forward into where we are now, and it's been just a delight to be able to develop this and offer it and make providing help to people that much easier and convenient and effective. So Lens have been around since 1990, and so where we are right now with the software, we've got practitioners in 28 different countries. There's quite a few in the United States. There's still entire areas of the country where there's no lens providers, which is unfortunate, you know, but hang in there, we're getting more and more every day. And there's also options for long-term, you know, being able to treat someone that's far away and teaching them how to administer the sensors on the head and whatnot at home. And so, like, for example, if somebody lives, you know, the closest lens provider is, you know, 8 hours away, what they can do is actually rent a system, and they're taught how to go ahead and give a treatment at home. Let's say they've got an autistic child, and instead of having to put that child in the car every week, they can actually do the treatment at home, and then they work with the lens provider and sending data back and forth and on telephone calls to administer, you know, the treatment and oversight and, you know, developing treatment plans. So there are options for people that live in areas where there are no lens practitioners as well. So OchsLabs, we kind of looking at the numbers at this point, there's probably been close to 1 million people treated with the lens since 1990, and probably well over 4 million sessions. So we've got a lot of information, and what the current software allows us to do is to really look at that data. And we look at that data every single day. We've got lots and lots of session data coming in, and we're looking at ways to provide treatment, whether it's treating, you know, looking at the trends. So when we look at people that are the practitioners that are treating certain symptom profiles, and we're looking at how quickly someone's responding or not responding, there's ways that we can, you know, learn from that and adjust what we do as practitioners and what we're teaching people to do as, you know, in teaching practitioners how to use the system in ways to make it more efficacious. And it's just really exciting, very exciting for us right now, and taking a look at these state-of-the-art databases that allow us to look at tremendous amounts of data across all of our practitioners, in looking at, for example, a symptom of anxiety, for example. Let's say someone's anxious. So we can look at all of the people with that symptom profile and start tracking treatments and seeing what's really effective and how can we make it more effective. So very, very exciting for us at this point in time, where we're continuing to develop the lens all the time. We now have 2 channels. So instead of one active sensor, on the head at a time. We now have 2 active sensors, and a couple of things that we've noticed about that right off the bat is people who are highly, highly sensitive, also known as kind of discerning, those people whose central nervous system is very discerning and they don't need much information before they respond, is those people, the 2-channel can be very helpful. And treatment-resistant depression, it seems to be helpful with the symptoms of that. And we're learning more every day. So it's a great tool on the chest. And it's something that's been available now for the 2-channel for about the last 8 months. So I'm very excited. And I couldn't be happier doing what I'm doing. I never thought I'd find something like this to be able to not only help patients, which I'm very passionate about, but helping the practitioners to help the patients. That's really where our passion as a company rests. We're very, very interested in supporting practitioners and helping practitioners because we know if they're happy doing what they're doing, they're going to help more people. And we get so many comments that we never knew that helping people could be so much fun. And it's incredibly motivating for us. And it's been just a gift to be able to do what we do. And we all feel that way at OchsLabs. Very important to us.